Swadee Cup YouTube. All right. Okay. Driving right now. Get off work. Anyhow, I'm not sure if some of you have surmised what is about to happen with this channel, depending on the next couple months and what happens. But I've actually had to make a plan, change plans already. So, you know, with COVID-19, everything is so up in the air. But those of you who are very good guessers probably know I'm planning on heading back to Thailand. Yeah, possibly to live there permanently. Haven't decided yet. Need to go check it out. I haven't been there since 1974 when I came to the United States. The problem I'm going to have is that even though I speak Thai, Thai has like different levels of language. You know, like the Thai I speak, Chinese in there, I think is Thai, but the Chinese and Thai kind of mix together, you know, in certain regions. And the other problem I have is I left there when I was 7. I left Thailand when I was 7. So my vocabulary was that of a 7-year-old, and to make it worse, I haven't really hung out with a lot of Thai people. So that means my Thai is really probably bad. Although I still remember it. I try to watch Mark Weems on YouTube. You know, he does the travel, eating, and stuff in Thailand and throughout the world. And sometimes he shows Thailand and the people speaking, and half the time I can sort of understand what they're saying, but not all of it. Which has me a little bit worried, because I am planning on potentially moving back to Thailand to live there once COVID-19 is somewhat under control. It already is under control in Thailand. It has been for, I think, more than a month. I don't think they've had any outbreaks, any new cases. But the United States, and specifically Florida right now, is the hot spot, one of the hottest spots, you know, for coronavirus. And I won't even get into the details of why that is. I think you've heard me rant a couple times already. But regardless, I've been trying to deal with all the embassies between the United States and Thailand and just all the legal stuff you have to do to travel. And it's like exponentially more complicated now than it used to be. So the plan had been to possibly move within a couple months. I was going to basically just move to Thailand. You know, like how would you do that? Well, I know some of you have seen me, you know, when you came into the channel, you caught me pretty much on my climb back up. You know, I was a homeless vet and have been for the past 10 years due to the situation involving my ex-wife, the messy divorce and everything else that went along with it. But prior to that, I was actually a teacher working for the state of Florida. So I was actually a tenured teacher and was one of the more highly respected teachers in this area. But the divorce kind of cut things short, and they wanted me to resign, but I ended up making them fire me. But that's a whole nother, I won't get into that. That's just ugly, nasty, bad stuff. But I do have retirement, believe it or not, because I was tenured and I had met the minimum that you need for retirement. So the thing is, my retirement is much smaller than it would be had I stayed, you know, like a 20-30 year teacher. I was planning on staying as a teacher for about 20-25 years. Originally, I wasn't even planning on staying for retirement. I was just going to stay like 5 to 10 years. But then they said they kept needing me. You know, when I was teaching and stuff, I saw the need and ended up extending. But long story short, I hit the amount required for retirement, which they only have like 6 years, but I did like 12, 13 years. It's enough to hit retirement, although it's not full retirement. You don't get the full pension. You get partial. But the other problem you run into is age. It's like if you ever work in America, they dangle this carrot in front of you called retirement. And I know some people think Social Security is retirement. That's not. Social Security is socialism in action there. You know, for those of you who hate socialistic government, you should send your disability check or your Social Security check, Medicaid, all that stuff needs to go back to the government. Okay, you shouldn't accept that, but because that's socialism. Okay, that's what it is. So, but anyhow, I have hit the age where I can actually claim an early retirement, and they take off. They take off in the state retirement. Because I qualify for the state retirement. They take off 5% for every year that you are under. I think it's 62 or 64. I don't know. I think it's 62. For every year that I decide to retire before 62, they take off 5% from my earnings, from my retirement. Now, some of you are like, well, why don't you try to hang on? I don't know if you can see what's happening on this end. I'm dying. I mean, there's like a lot of bad stuff going on this end. My family has been dying off left and right from cancer, and I've had some weird health issues that, the VA still can't figure out. I suspect I may have something. But long story short, with COVID-19 pretty much killing people left and right, and everything else that's going on, and my current situation, I've decided, you know what? Better to go ahead and try to get an early retirement and try to have some kind of a normalcy in my life than to try to hang on and then not even make it to retirement, which is a high possibility for me looking at the situation and what's going on with the world right now, and even the country, the United States. So I've decided I will I am moving towards that direction of retirement. And what's going to happen with retirement is I will get some money. It's not a lot, and obviously nowhere, because my career wasn't that long, so the retirement amount isn't going to be that high. I was like probably a mid-grade, slightly above mid-grade teacher, as far as pay scale and stuff. So I wasn't making the maximum, and I didn't have 20 or 30 years. To get the maximum, you really need to teach like about 30 years, which is very rare. Most teachers are gone within 10 years. They don't make it because the system is that bad. But if I retire, I will take a partial retirement money, which is only going to be a little bit, and I can't really live on that in the United States. It's nowhere near enough. I figure as a minimum, if you wanted to live without living in a van, if you wanted to live in like even a retirement. Well, see, here's the thing. In America, they don't allow you to really retire and get into like a retirement community until you're 55 or older. So if you're 55 or older, you qualify for like the mobile home parks and, the retirement communities. So you can get in there. You can basically live in a mobile home, which, is better than living in a van. It's not like some of those mobile homes are, you know what I'm talking about? The prefabs and stuff, they're pretty nice. The thing about it is that basically, if you live in one of those, the rent on it, because you got to pay for the lot fee and the rent, it may be affordable if you have retirement. Now, retiring early like I am doing, I would almost have enough, but not enough, because I still have another issue. I still have child support. I still have to pay, for one kid now. So that would pretty much wipe out retirement. So I can't fully retire, which is why you see me bringing YouTube back. I've been working on YouTube to try to bring some money in. Not a lot, because this channel's not that big. But if it's enough to cover child support, which it could be, if I make enough to cover child support, then basically my retirement money can be used to live off. And in America, I can't retire off that money. It's nowhere near enough. But if I were to take it to Thailand, it's still not really enough, but almost. It's a lot more than here, okay? You can multiply the Thai dollar by roughly 30 baht. So that means I would make enough money to potentially retire in Thailand. Now, would I be able to live real wealthy or anything? Nah, I think I'd make about a little bit less than Thai average, or about average of what the Thai people earn. That's if I decide not to work at all. But if I was able to work YouTube and collect my retirement, the possibility of actually retiring real. Now, what's interesting about YouTube is I don't really need to make a lot. And, I just need to make enough to cover child support and any shortfalls in the retirement money. And that's not really too bad in Thailand because I'm going to sit here and talk a little bit and get some air blowing at me here. I hope that sounds not too loud. But basically, if I were to go ahead and retire, I could live a really nice life in Thailand. My options are try to make it in the United States where I'm basically living in a van waiting for the cops to knock on my window to tell me to move. Trying to survive till 55, then maybe try to get into a retirement community. But even then, I would struggle because the amount I make isn't enough to cover everything. I still have to keep working. I'd be one of those Walmart greeters, You look at all these senior citizens working. Some of them are working because they don't want to just not work, because like when you're totally not working and you have no purpose in your life becomes shorter. So some of those seniors are working because of that. But I suspect a lot of them are working because they don't make enough money, which is very sad for a country like the United States that people work hard all their life and then at the very end, they're not able to retire. It's like a lie. It's this big lie. But in Thailand, I would be able to live off the retirement money and pay child support off YouTube or work a Thai job. Conceivably, I could work as a language teacher in Thailand and return back to teaching, but I'm not sure I really want to do that. I was talking to some friends in Thailand, and I could get a job. If I got it in America as an American going over there, I would make way more money than the Thai people. I would make, it's low pay for American pay, but for Thai pay, it'd be like about 3 or 4 times more than what the average Thai person makes. That would make me fairly wealthy. Not rich, but wealthy, on the upper class in Thailand. And I could teach English. But I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm considering it. I might do it for a year or two just to buffer up some money. But I plan on living like a Thai person, which is going to be very, I guess by Western standards, potentially poor. I don't know. I don't really know until I go there. I only know from what I've seen from the vloggers, the American vloggers that are over there, the British vloggers and the Australian vloggers, and basically people who pass through there. And they say that you could possibly live off $500 to $600 a month in Thailand. So that's the number I'm looking at, if it's like that. But see, the other thing I know is they're not Thai. Those people are Caucasians. The people who are living off $500, like I think I watched an episode of Will Burson. He was in Chiang Mai, and he said he was living on $560 a month. He could do it. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, you're drinking $3 cappuccinos, okay? That's what white people do. Not to rag on Caucasians, but you guys spend $3.60 or $2 or $3 on a cup of coffee every morning, and that's normal for you. $2 or $3, goodness. In Thailand, that's like almost, that's like about 100 Thai bahts almost. It's like 80, 75, 80 Thai bahts. It's almost like $80. Spending $80 for coffee. I think if I were to drink coffee or something, I might be willing to spend at most the equivalent of 10 or 15 cents. So I was like, if Will Burson can live there for $560, surely I can live there for much cheaper than that. My wife and I are simple folks. We could even live comfortably there and actually build up a nest egg and try to buy some land. And the government there may hopefully leave me alone, so I can actually try some experiments and stuff with solar, basically off-grid living without the hassles that you have in America with all the different regulations and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't want to be out in the boonies like I was in the woods here in America, living in the little hut, okay? I want to live somewhere where I'm kind of near a small city where I could go to the city and get food and stuff, because I don't want to, raise my own cows and stuff, okay? But I might grow some food and generate my own electricity and maybe catch water. Thailand is similar to Florida in temperature and stuff. So it's very similar to this area, The only thing is I think maybe potentially they might get a little bit more rain than Florida does, which could be good or bad. But as the title of this video says, I'm trying to learn right now. I'm trying to learn how to read and write in Thai because I was only 7 years old when I came. I only had first grade education in Thailand. I did not finish first grade. I was pulled out of first grade and my mom stuck me in English school to learn how to speak and read and write in English. And I did it in 3 months and then came to America. And so, you know, going back to Thailand, I can speak Thai. I can speak what the people in Korat speak, which is my village where I used to live. But see, when you go to other regions of Thailand, they might not understand me so well, and I might not understand them because there's dialects. But I can't read or write Thai, and that's going to be a problem because if you want to live somewhere, you really need to learn the language. Now, I got a head start because I can speak Thai at least. I can communicate. But, you know, even trying to ride the bus or something, if you can't read what it says on the schedule, you are illiterate. You are at a huge disadvantage. So I figure before I head over to Thailand, it is my goal to learn to read and write in Thai. And what I want to know, you don't have to comment right here, right now. I'm going to read your comments here in a minute. But wait till the video is finished uploading, you know, after it goes live and it formalizes. If I'm going to count the number of thumbs up. If this video hits at least 100 thumbs up, then I'm going to record the lessons. And I'm not like, I'm not taking any formal lesson. I'm kind of making up my own lesson. I might look at some lessons on YouTube or something. There's a lot of lessons on YouTube, so that, you know, if you want to get a head start on it. But I'm just going to do a very basic lesson, and the idea isn't to make you totally fluent in reading and writing Thai. It's to make you functional. In other words, good enough. So, you know, because time is kind of essence, I'm trying to learn fairly fast. Not super fast, because I don't want to make it unpleasant. But at the same time, I understand that I need to learn it. So my goal is to learn to read and write Thai, and I want to do, for my own personal pace, I'm going to try to do 1 letter a day. I think Thailand has like roughly 80 letters. And it gets kind of complicated. Okay, it's not like English. So if you looked at Thai writing, you know, it looks almost like the Hindu writing. So it's like we don't have the letter A, okay? I think learning to read and write in Spanish or German and stuff is a lot easier. I know a little bit of German. Guten Tag. So, you know, German was easier to learn. Spanish is a little bit easier to learn. Thai, the spoken language of Thai is easy, okay? Because we don't have a lot of stuff like adjectives and things like that, you know. But what we do have is a really elaborate writing system. So I'm going to learn 1 letter a day, try to go over the letter, how to write it, the sounds, some words that it's used in to help you, you know, sight words, recognize some words. It's not you. When I say you, it's me too. Really me. I'm doing this for me because I don't want to be illiterate in Thailand. So after this video has finished processing, or even right now, I don't know if you can give it a thumbs up. If I hit 100 thumbs up on this video, I will take the time to make videos that show what I'm learning, and you can learn with me. So that at the end of the series, you should be able to read and write Thai, at least functionally read and write Thai. You won't know everything, just like me, you won't know everything. But hopefully you'll know how to, you know, ask where the bathroom is, how much something is, what's on the menu to eat, you know, where the bus is going or where the taxi's going. I mean, you can learn these phrases and stuff and speak to people, but like if you're at the airport, see, in most major areas in Thailand, they will have it in English where the tourists are, but I might be living in remote areas. So, you know, they aren't going to know English. And if you learn Thai, and you can learn and read Thai, you can function there. And if you are in a country where you're struggling with money, you know, as far as retirement and stuff, it might open up the potential for a spot to escape to. You know, that's assuming they let you in. Because right now, there's a lot of people trying to get into Thailand. Because it's, even though it's considered a third world country, It's one of the more developed ones, you know, and safe. So, and also, I mean, the laws and stuff are more strict there than here as far as certain laws like anti-drugs and stuff like that. People take the law seriously over there, you know, in the government. Um, so it would if you're the type that would say, I don't want to wear a mask, okay, when the government is saying you should wear a mask, you won't do well in a place like Thailand. Okay, let me put it that way. But if you're the type that works with other people and tries to get along with everyone as a community and enjoy your life without like infringing upon other people or declaring that you're better than other people, then you would probably do fine in Thailand. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can watch my videos once I get to Thailand. But you can also get a head start by watching people like Mark Weems, and it's M-A-R-K, and his last name is Weems. I think it's W-E-I-N, Mark Weems. And he's got 2 channels now. He's got one where he eats. He started off as an eating vlogger. That's all he does. His whole channel is nothing but eating. And then now he's doing another channel where he's showing different things you can do in the different countries and places he gets to go. So, you know, he's kind of an inspiration, but more than that, for me, he's kind of a tutor, because I'm looking at it to hear the Thai people speak and also to see what it currently looks like over there, because I'm planning on moving there. So give this video a thumbs up, 100 likes, and I will go ahead and do the series. Otherwise, I'll be learning on my own, and eventually you'll see me using that reading and writing and speaking in Thailand when I'm living there. So I'm going to go ahead and read your comments just to see what's going on and give you some feedback before I sign off. George Witchmeyer. Good to see you on here. Idoji says, hey everyone, I'm in the middle of an ad right now, but I literally was just on Denoy's page and didn't see a video, and then suddenly he is live. Hello, Delia. And Idoji says, I might try to visit Thailand in a couple of years. Idoji, most Westerners could do very well in Thailand. The average Thai person, I think, makes less than $1,000 a month. Less than $1,000 a month. So if you make more than $1,000 a month, you could live as well as most Thais. But most foreigners, I think if they wanted to live comfortably, they would probably need about $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I'm not even going to be making anywhere near that, okay, off my retirement, believe it or not, because, you know, it wasn't like a 20 or 30 year, and I'm taking like a 40-50% pay cut on my retirement because I'm taking it early. But I figure I'd rather do that and go live in Thailand where I can live some normalcy instead of like having to hide from the police and all the crazy stuff that I have to do in this country. And because I can continue to work YouTube, if the channel does well and keeps growing, my potential for growing there, you know, is exponential, because it's basically 30 times the rate here in the United States. Like the average Thai person there earns only between $7 to $12 a day. Think about that. This is the average Thai salary, is $7 to $12 a day. Now, that's not much at all for a Westerner, but for someone in Thailand, that's normal. And each of my videos, you know, like even the ones where I eat, they earn over their lifetime anywhere from $15 to $25. Now, they don't earn it in one day, they earn it over time. So, like, if I did nothing but even eating videos, I pretty much can eat for free in Thailand. Like, a meal in Thailand, a single meal for a person, might cost anywhere from $1 to $3. And we're not talking a little meal. We're talking like a full-size dinner or something. You know, that's a very good meal for like $1 or $3. You know, between $1 to $3. So, and that's if you buy it. If you buy it, like, cooked. Not in a fancy restaurant. Fancy restaurants, your prices are going to go up to more Western. And that's why some of those Western people spend so much money living in Thailand. Because they still go to eat like Western style. They go to the restaurants, the fancy sit-down restaurants. Most Thai people, they eat street food. You know, there's food all over the place in Thailand. Vendors and stuff. I'm planning on doing a combo of eating street food as well as cooking for myself. Because I don't know yet what the full thing will be until I get there. You know, you can try to plan and predict, but until you know for sure. I do know that cost of living there could be low, especially if I live like a Thai person and cook my own food instead of eating out all the time. I might say eat out once a day, and then cook the other. I only eat like 2 or 3 meals a day, so I would cook the other meals and then eat out. You know, that would be cheap for my wife and I. And if I wanted to, because I'm also trying to produce, I'm getting back into software development. So if I get my games out and they actually sell, even if they're not selling like a mega hit or something like that, I could make decent money and actually be very comfortable in Thailand. So you would see videos of me in like a totally different scenario, because now, it doesn't become survival anymore, where the videos here have been just me trying to make it one day at a time. In Thailand, I would be actually fairly well off. Not wealthy or anything like that, but I sure as heck wouldn't be on the poorer side. I'd be in the middle or upper middle. All right, SD, good to see you on here. Mark, nice to see you. SD says to stay away from the Thai girls. I got my wife, but I might hang out with some Thai girls. I might do a thing for, visitors and stuff, just to show them, what the Thai people are like. Teach you some cultural stuff. Like the big thing in Thailand is the word snook. Snook in Thailand means happy or fun. The philosophy in Thailand is that life should be snook, which means life should be happy, should be fun. So it guides everyone and everything. And you're going to see in Thailand, almost everywhere you go, everybody's smiling. And the reason for that is how the people there are. Generally, the Thai people are happy, genuinely happy, and believe in Sanuk. The other thing you're going to notice is, like, some people don't understand my attitude. Like, I have some people saying that he's doing a shitty job on the RV. Why is he doing that? It's similar to the Thai attitude, which is like, good enough, it doesn't have to be perfect. Which, if you're a perfectionist and you're in a country where everything has to be perfect, it could drive you nuts, like you become OCD. But in Thailand, for the most part, even the work that you do has to be fun, or you shouldn't do it. So people won't do a job if they don't think it's fun to do that work. I know it's weird, but that's how it is in Thailand. The philosophy is, that doesn't mean that no one will do any job. Certain jobs nobody will do. Now, everyone will find a job that they do, even the job nobody else seems to want. There's going to be someone who likes it, that will do it and actually enjoy it. So the people, while they're working in Thailand, generally are smiling and happy, and it's not a fake. It's a real smile. They're really happy, because that's ingrained into the culture. You'll also notice, like, a lot of differences, like especially how it contrasts with, like, America right now. The people in America right now are so divided right now, doing this. It's because there's hardly anything that connects the people here. The people here come from a lot of different diverse backgrounds. Cultural diversity is America. They say America was the melting pot of the world, where all these different ethnic groups and people with different colored skin or whatever show up and intermingle and become American. The problem is, right now, certain groups are throwing people out. It's like, we want you to stay in your little area. You stay in your little area. All you Muslims over here, all you Christians over here, all you Buddhists over here, wanting to isolate all these different groups and stuff. It's because I think America's lost its light, the light that guided everyone here in the first place. It's become tarnished or darkened. And the people here have just lost. I guess what they've lost is the cohesiveness of being American. Now, in Thailand, you're not going to have that, because the culture there, everybody in Thailand is born Buddhist. Even if you're Muslim, you're Buddhist. But see, Thailand's tolerant of other religions, if you want to call them that. So the Americans view Buddhism as a religion. The Thais don't really see it so much as a religion as a philosophy for life, the way you just are, okay? And it doesn't mean Thai people are all religious and stuff, but all Thai people are pretty much Buddhist. And at the core, we're all Buddhists in Thailand. But some of the people there are actually Muslims. Muslims have been moving to Thailand, and they're accepted. Same with the Christians. You know, they're allowed to come in and worship how they want to worship. But at the same time, and this is where I think the difference is, in Thailand, they expect you, okay, and this is where you have some problems with foreigners sometimes, specifically Westerners. In Thailand, they expect you to respect the Thai culture if you're visiting. So when you're in Thailand, you should learn the Thai customs, and the Thai customs and how to behave while you're in Thailand. America, on the other hand, when people come here, they kind of do whatever. It's like when I came to America, I learned the Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't even know what it was until I went to school to learn, and then understood the words, what they actually meant, what a pledge actually is. I had to teach my first graders, and I told them, unless you're willing to put this into your heart and do what the pledge is, when you pledge something, you don't have to do the pledge. Because a pledge means a promise. You know, like I pledge allegiance to the flag. I promise to defend the flag of the United States and what it stands for. People say these things, but they don't even understand what it means. I took the time to actually learn the words and what they mean. And when I was a teacher, I tried to teach my first graders that. And I taught them that if they didn't believe, you know, in all that stuff, if they didn't want to pledge loyalty to the United States, you know, and what the pledge actually means, they don't have to do it. I don't expect them to. They have that freedom. You know, some people say, why would you let a person not do the pledge or not bow down before the pledge or whatever? That is the American freedom. That is what we're pledging to protect. We're protecting those people's rights to not do these things. But, you know, that's a whole nother spiel. So, give this video a thumbs up if you want to learn Thai with me. By the end of it, I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm hoping within a couple months. I'm hoping within 2 or 3 months, we're all going to be fluent in reading and writing Thai. Sorry, I think we disconnected. If I can get a 100 likes on this video, we're going to be all learning how to read and write in Thai. So we can all become fluent in Thai as far as reading and writing basic Thai, conversing with the Thai people, and able to survive there. Let me continue with your comments so that I can answer these things. Mark 10 says he lives in Vero, went to Melbourne to the $1 movies. Yeah, I guess they must have opened it back up. You know, $1 is pretty cheap in America. You look at $1 as being cheap in America, but $1 is 31 Thai bahts. It's like $30 in Thailand. See, SD says, as a Westerner, you don't get a permanent visa, so you go to China every 3 months. Well, you would go to Thailand, you would have to extend. I think Thailand, you might have to do it every month. Unless, see, that's where you have to decide. If I think they may allow you to live there if you're retired in Thailand, but you have to show that you have a certain amount of money and that you're going to be okay over there. And you have to live there. I think you have to be there at least 10 years. Then you can apply for, I don't know, you can look this up, like retiring in Thailand and stuff. I was looking some of that stuff up. But I think if you're like at retirement age, you may be allowed to live there. The other option, of course, is to marry a Thai. You know, then they can get you there on a spousal visa. And that, I think, has to only be updated once a year. And then once you're there 10 years, you can apply to be a Thai citizen. Now, I'm going to be living in Thailand, but more than likely, I'll still remain a U.S. citizen, so I'll keep paying U.S. taxes and stuff. The reason being that my kids are still going to be in America, and I want to be able to visit them here, as well as fly them to Thailand, you know. So I will most likely be there as a U.S. citizen and not a Thai, although I have dual citizenship, which is beneficial now. Hidoji says I could transition my channel into Life in Thailand channel. Yeah, more than likely it'll be Life in Thailand, and it may also, like one of the ideas I had thought about, it just depends on what the government allows in Thailand, but I suspect they're a lot more lenient than in the United States, okay? But if I can get my way, I'm actually thinking if I can save enough money or raise enough money, I want to buy some land, not too isolated, but not in the city, like maybe in the woods with mountains and water and stuff like that. But do you remember how I was building the yurts and all that? I was thinking of building some nice ones, like some more permanent structures, like permanent type yurts, permanent housing that you could build really cheap using either existing materials or Western materials. When I say Western materials, I mean stuff like PVC pipes, wood, like beams and stuff like that. That kind of stuff becomes a little bit harder to get in Thailand, believe it or not. But I want to build like basically cheap structures that you could live in that are stronger and more permanent. So if you saw like Hut 2.0, remember Hut 2.0? I kind of went all out in that. That structure cost me about $1,000 to build. If I was building a real one, I would probably do it for about $2,000, and it would be structurally sound like a real house and have a lot more luxury than Hut 2.0, which was fantastic. I lived out there for like a year and a half. I had access to it for about a year and a half, and it was nice. $1,000 to have a structure to live in for a year and a half. That wasn't too bad, especially since it was so nice. If you watched all those episodes where I was cooking and doing all sorts of stuff out there. As Steve says, for the shitty jobs, they have the Burmese. I don't know about that situation. I do know that a lot of people go to Thailand, and a lot of poorer countries immigrate to Thailand to work. Like, I've seen a lot of Pakistanis move to Thailand. So I'm assuming that Pakistan is not as well off as Thailand. So they immigrate to Thailand to do some of the more manual type labor. Okay, so just like right now, I don't know if you're aware, like Europe has opened its doors to pretty much the world because they have a declining population. The Europeans are not reproducing. Like for every married couple, they're only making like 1.2 kids. That means, a married couple is two people. To replace themselves, they have to make 2 kids. They're only making 1.2 on average. So the population, the working force is going down, but the number of people needing social services and stuff is going up. So they've had to open their doors for foreigners to move there. So that's also a possibility, is to move. Like I think Italy has all those houses that they're selling for $1. But if you really follow it, there's kind of a catch. You have to be willing to fix it up and stuff. And from what I can tell, from the articles and stuff, I was able to track down the people who moved there to fix up those houses. It ended up costing about $100,000 to fix those houses. So if you are wanting a $1 house, be prepared for $100,000 or more to fix it up. That's the Italian houses that they were selling in those little villages. And those villages are doing the same thing because their population is declining. Hello, Elizabeth. Good to see you on here. Elizabeth wants to know why I'm wanting to move to Thailand. Just to summarize again, I'm moving to Thailand to probably retire. Although I may go visit first to make sure that it is for me, because I haven't been there since I was a kid. So it may have changed quite a bit. But I think for the most part, I'm pretty certain. I'm about 90% certain that I want to go retire in Thailand. And it has to do with quality of life. And I'm basically wanting to reset my life to the point where I'm living a more comfortable life than living in a van. Yes, indeed, Jonathan. The food is very good. So I don't know if you guys can tell. Jonathan wrote, "Ahan Thai aroy mak mak." That means Thai food is very delicious. And Jonathan would laugh too when if I tell you, if I get 100 likes on this, I start teaching you Thai, you're gonna learn that speaking Thai is like almost caveman talk. Like if you read what Jonathan wrote, he says "Ahan Thai aroy mak mak." He repeats words. In Thailand, for emphasis, you repeat like mak mak means. We don't have big words like gargantuan, humongous. We don't have words like that. Thailand has a word called a lot, which is mak. So if it's really a lot or gigantically huge or whatever, we say a lot, 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 a lot. That's how simple Thai is. So Thai repeats a lot of words. It's missing a lot of verbs and tenses and things like that. So Thai is easy to learn. Spoken Thai is easy to learn. It's just the written part because, I've grown up. I've been in the United States or around the world, in American areas since 1974. So that's a very long time to be away from Thailand. So trying to go back. I'm going back as a grown-up, and I'm hoping that I can take you guys to my little village where I grew up, which isn't even a little village anymore. From what I can tell, my city that I thought as a kid was a little village is one of the biggest metropolitan cities in Thailand, other than Bangkok. So, basically, I want to take you back to my childhood and show you, what it was like there. And you can actually see the location and stuff. So it should be fun. If I can track down elephant soccer, I will try to do that to show you what elephant soccer is like. And if I can find the people that give us rides, you'll see me on an elephant. Because I want to do that with my wife. I want to show her what it's like to be on an elephant. I've ridden an elephant before. And if I can find the guy that made the candy with the monkey balls. I know that guy's long gone because he was older then. And, I'm 54 now, so I hope he's resting in peace. But if I can find the roving candy stands, I'll do that. But my sister went to Thailand a while back, and she says, it's not like that anymore. Thailand's like modernized. So those kind of things I will sadly probably never be able to track down again. But it'll be interesting to go back there to the exact spot, if I can find it. And relive my childhood through the eyes of an old man. And yeah, I am going to go ahead and sign out. And Jonathan says, I can speak enough to introduce myself, but reading is so hard. Well, Jonathan, if you can read it all, you're better off than I am right now. I can recognize some of the letters, but we're going to learn the alphabet. One of the things that makes Thai learning the alphabet a little bit more difficult than what we're used to, it has so much more letters. But also the consonant stuff, I think they have a sound, like a vowel that goes with the consonant. So I'm going to have to read up on it. Sadly, I don't have any Thais nearby that can actually work with me one-on-one. But from what I can tell, the Thai alphabet is phonetic, because they have like Gawkai, which is the first letter. Gaw, G, G. So I know Gawkai makes a G sound, but I don't know if it's just G or if it actually makes a Gaw, 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 Gaw sound. If it makes a Gaw sound, then the letter Gawkai, which as far as I can tell, translates to like neck of a chicken or chicken neck. That's the name of the alphabet letter, okay? Because when you see it, it looks like a chicken head with a neck. So, if it's what I think it is, then I think it says gaw, not just ga, the letter G sound, but the whole sound gaw. In other words, if you were going to write that in English, it would take 3 letters. It would take G-A-W, maybe even G-A-W-L, gaw. Okay? So, in Thailand, that one symbol, I don't know if it makes a G sound or a gaw sound. I'm thinking that symbol, I think, just makes a G sound because the word gai has 2 other sounds, 2 other letters next to it, and I saw some of the alphabet. But we're going to figure that out on our own, and I might try to read up on it. I think the real proper way to do it is actually to watch a video from a Thai teacher, that's teaching Thai. But, we never do stuff the proper way on this channel. We just sort of stumble through it, and yet somehow in the end, we get it working. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So if you're learning with me, you'll learn, hopefully you'll learn enough to communicate and read and get by, but you're not going to be a Thai expert, okay? And you're not going to be like you would if you went to a formal class and learned everything. Let me put it that way. Well, I'm just trying to teach you, and I'm trying to teach me, so that when I get on the bus, I don't end up in China. If I say I want to go to Chiang Mai, I want to end up in Chiang Mai and not China. Well, Jonathan might be useful to have on this channel as we learn Thai, because he apparently knows some Thai. So that's really good. Goy Mito wants to know if the corona will disappear after the elections. Okay, my honest feeling about it all, coronavirus is just like the swine flu and all the other potential pandemics. It just didn't get stopped in America. and most of the world, because they were looking at America for guidance. I do believe the coronavirus is real. I've had personal family members die from it. And some people say, well, they had complications and blah, blah, blah. Listen to me. They wouldn't be dead if coronavirus had not set off that complication that killed them. Okay? So it is a coronavirus death. The problem you're going to have is this. Viruses have always existed. We just hopefully got smart enough where we could detect it and catch it and neutralize it or stop it. I'm going to give you, I guess, a visual to show you what I think of viruses and how they spread. And so not how I think, but how they actually do spread. If you get a clear glass of water, like a totally clear glass of water, and you take some food coloring, okay, and you put that little drop of food coloring into that glass of water, you're going to see it spread slowly from where it hits throughout that whole bottle or throughout that whole glass until the whole glass is contaminated. Okay? And as it starts to spread the contamination, it becomes thinner and thinner, but it's still spreading. Now, unlike the drop of water, viruses, on the other hand, when they do start spreading, they don't get weaker. They actually continue to spread even more, like grow. So, you know, using that analogy with the drop of food coloring in water shows you the spread, but it doesn't show you the strength. Okay? But to show you what happens when you contain, like, the swine flu or the bird flu or any other potential flus or viruses and stuff, if you have a glass of water, clear water, and then in it you have a tiny little cup, you know, a little lid, if you want to call it that, like a bottle lid, and you put your drop of concentrated food coloring into that lid where it's confined in that lid that's floating in that water, it's not going to spread. And that's how this kind of shit got stopped before, okay? Because if you'll recall, there was a big scare on mad cow disease, on swine flu, you know, bird flu. All those things had the potential to be pandemic, including Ebola. But when people were aware of it, it got stopped. You know, they screened for the temperature, they screened for those people having those symptoms, and they didn't let them just pass all over the place. When you have a government that's denying it, that is outright not ignoring it, saying it's going to magically go away, when it is there, it's going to go into the cup and it's going to spread. Okay, that's what we got going on right now. Now, after the elections, I don't know what's going to happen. I do know that viruses will always exist. Some people think things are going to go back to normal, like we're going to be able to walk around without a mask and not worry anymore. I hate to tell you this, but walking around with a mask and having to potentially have swabs of people wiped out is the new future. Okay, this is normal now because it's already happened. My hope is that as a race or as a ethnic group, Americans as a whole can learn to take this kind of shit seriously. I didn't take it seriously when it first happened in China. You remember my first videos? I was like, it's probably going to be like a flu, because I was trusting the government. I was listening to what was coming from the United States government, and they said it's just a flu and it'll magically go away. Okay? China put out the call saying that there might be a potential problem in January, late January. By February, China acknowledged this was serious shit. Okay? When China first put it out, everyone's kind of like, okay, bird flu, swine flu, you know, normal kind of bad stuff. It's going to be contained. It wouldn't leave China or whatever, or spread. Because most of Asia, once they hear that kind of shit happen, because Asia's actually got a lot of people, you know, it's not like America, we have all this space. So the people in Asia are kind of confined. So when this kind of stuff happens, they all take it seriously right away, and the government will take charge and issue, you know, lockdown orders, masks, and all this stuff to reduce mobility, to keep the people from spreading. And that's why places like Taiwan, which is actually right next Hong Kong, next to the source of where the outbreak was, they've had it under control for months now. They've had it under control since, I think, about April of last year. Well, this year. So the word went out in February. The world understood it, okay? And the people who took it seriously, which was mostly Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, all the Asians took it seriously because they know how this shit spreads, okay? They all wore masks. They did their isolation. If you watch Mark Williams, you can see they're still isolated there, even though they haven't had outbreaks. Thailand is just now starting to open its borders back up, okay, for visitors. It actually shut down the borders and everything when all this happened to contain it. And so right now, it's opening back up. As far as the United States, I suspect it depends on who wins, okay? We have the people that are denying it right now and actually making it worse, in my opinion, because now I have, I used to be a teacher here. Now there are teachers that are friends of my fellow teachers that have been infected because Florida, Governor DeSantis decided to open the schools back up for in-person school classes. And the teachers, unless they wanted to get fired, had to go there and do those classes. And since they've opened the school back up, a whole bunch of kids have been getting it and spreading it back to the families. Okay? This is because of political reason that it's not under control. And I think it is extremely sad that a country, I talk about it at work, because my work, we take it very seriously, because it's a real thing. And these are educated engineers, okay, rocket engineers. But basically, we take it seriously there because it could end up impacting the United States security. And so we take it seriously. And the problem is, even though we're taking it seriously because we're based in Florida, like I go to a gas station, I see people wearing the mask like a hat. But they wear it down on their chin like a beard guard. I'm like, what? Why are you even wearing it? Okay? I'm not one of those type of people that will go confront these people, because if they're doing that, they're probably either the type that will try to kill me. Okay? It's just not worth it. You've seen where like stores had policies and then they try to make the people put the mask on and they end up killing the store clerk. I'm just like, you know what? That's one of the reasons I'm thinking of moving to Thailand. Yeah, I've just seen too much stuff here that I'm like, I can't change it. The people here have to want to change it. And, it's like I served in the United States military, basically put my life on the line. I dealt with some wars. They didn't call them wars. They were conflicts, little actions that we did against people like, what was his name? Omar Gaddafi. Yeah, when I was in, we went against Gaddafi, and we pretty much shut him up. That was the might of the United States back then. It's like somebody says, hey, well, I'm not afraid of you stupid Americans. Next thing you know, they just sort of got very quiet because the United States didn't put up with shit like that. Now, countries are laughing at America. And when I say countries are laughing, I'm talking about the Europeans, which to me makes me a little mad, pissed off. I know I have some Europeans watchers here that might get mad at me for saying this, but I'm like, listen, if you're in Europe, because I had some Europeans or somebody who was a European viewer comment on here saying that when I was talking about how the state of America is right now, how sad it is, and how people around the world, especially in places like Thailand and stuff, are sad for the Americans, not laughing at Americans, but sad. I had a viewer on here say that in Europe, they're laughing at Americans. The Canadians and the Europeans are laughing. And I would tell those people, listen, be thankful you're not speaking German or Japanese. You're laughing at the one nation in the world that came and saved your ass. Okay? So, if you're French or Italian or British, okay? Well, Italians were one of the aggressors. They never liked America. But if you're one of the other countries there, Belgium or whatever, that were getting your ass kicked and about to become Germans, okay? You should be feeling sorry for the Americans, not making fun of the Americans. I feel sad for America. I am American. I feel sad. I look at how the people here treat each other now, and it's like, what the fuck happened to America? Now you have Black America, you have White America, you have Asian America, you have Chinese America, you have, what the fuck? I'm American. I'm not Thai American. I'm also Thai, but I'm American, and I do what Americans do, or try to. But some of the stuff Americans are doing right now, I don't think it's American. I really think it's un-American. You know, and sadly, it's a problem that's bigger than I can handle personally. And if I were younger and more of a rebel, I might try to start up a movement, okay? But the reality is, I'm 54 years old. America is how I ended up in this position where I became a homeless vet. And I went through the system and followed all their laws and their rules. I followed it to a T, which is why I'm in this position of living in a van. I could have broken the rules. I could have done all sorts of stuff that would have changed things. But I didn't, because I respected the law of the land. I respected the United States Constitution. I respected the rules that they had in place, including when I tried to take over the houses. Somebody was saying on there that I was bad for trying to squat and take over an abandoned property. I was following the law of the land. That's what the law allows. Because they're trying to change the law now to not allow that so that the cities can do it. In other words, cities will own all these houses that nobody owns. If it's abandoned, it means there's no owner. Okay, the owner doesn't want it, or the owner doesn't give a shit. The owner is letting it rot. And the law was put into place in civilization, or Western civilization, so that you didn't have valuable property just sitting there rotting. Somebody would come and take it over and take care of it and maintain it and actually be productive with it and make money with it or whatever, and pay taxes on it so that the government could continue to function. But now government is bypassing the citizens and saying, we're going to pass ordinances, these are city ordinances or county ordinances, where if the house is abandoned, the police can now keep regular people from claiming it. So they'll keep it vacant and let it rot, and then the city will come and take it. The city's doing what a citizen should have been able to do. But by the virtue of them running the government, they're passing ordinances and laws that are blocking the people from claiming that. So those of you who think that I'm the one breaking the law, you're not watching what's really happening, okay? The government is breaking the law. The government isn't breaking law, they're changing the law. They're making new rules. And, you know, you can go all the way back to the beginning. It's like, what the hell does a piece of paper that says you own it really mean? When you look at the land, if you were like the Native Americans, they didn't have pieces of paper. You know, they said this was our land because we live here. Well, white people, when I say white people, I mean the Europeans that came over, said, you don't have a piece of paper that claims ownership. We draft up one that says, we own this land now we're going to kick you out. And that's been passed down from years to years to years, that you have all this land ownership now, you know. So what is the law and what is right? I believe in God's laws. I believe that in the end, and, you know, it's kind of interesting because I was talking to this with my boss at work, and, you know, like I work in high-tech spaceships and stuff. And we were basically looking at the situation because Florida is the hot spot now. Because he says, hey, Denoy, how you doing? I said, well, this bad movie, drama, zombie apocalypse movie, scary shit, looks like it's not ending. It looks like it's going to be a multi-seasonal, a multi-episode event. You know, at first I thought it was going to run for 2 or 3 months. I was like, okay, they only produce a couple episodes, then normalcy will come. But now we're almost at 1 year, you know, we're 3/4 of the way towards hitting a 1 year point. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. So we haven't even hit the half where it starts to turn around and become more normalized. And not only that, even in the space industry, people are getting it. And so, you know, they're taking it seriously and quarantining and doing all sorts of weird stuff we have to do. We have to sterilize. We have to do the whole shebang, even pay like a huge service to come in and disinfect when it happens. And you know, like even my schedule got adjusted so that I'm not there when a lot of people are there. Although lately I've been there when a whole bunch of people are there. So I'm like, that's not good. And these people travel all over the world. You know, some had just left Spain, which is also a hot spot. So I'm like, if I start coughing, that's not good. I have to report it. I won't even go into work that day if I cough, because that's how seriously we're taking it. Because it's not like at McDonald's where, you know, like if one of your coworkers got sick, you could probably put someone there and teach them real quick how to flip a hamburger. Where I work, these people put spaceships up, and if one person gets sick, they don't just have that one person out. Everyone they came into contact with, whether it be one person to 10 people to 100 people, all of them are under quarantine. And even me, even though I'm not one of the engineers, because my job actually puts me with everybody, you know, I potentially go under quarantine. Like they had to give me notice that I might be exposed because one of the engineers was exposed. Not even, it hasn't acknowledged that they've exposed. They traveled to an area where they could have got exposed. That's how seriously they take it. Okay, so if you want to know if you think the coronavirus will go away after the elections, honestly, I think if we're under the current administration, if somehow Donald Trump still wins, it miraculously goes away, even though when you look around, people are dying still. They're not dying from coronavirus. It's just some other weird shit killing them. You know, or it's a new one. We've got a new name for it. COVID-2021. COVID-21, not 19. So it's not coronavirus as we knew it. It's the new one, the new strand. And, you know, so we got to deal with it again. But it'll magically go away. Now, and honestly, if Biden and them win, I think that they will do what needs to be done. You know, I know some people say, well, he seems to be endorsing them. I'm just telling you based on what I see. But honestly, you know, when you start getting political, you can't really change people's minds. They get really mad. That's what I've learned, okay? And some people think, well, he's a Democrat, he's a whatever. I told you before, okay, I'm actually not affiliated with any party, although I've had to pick a party, because if you put yourself as independent, they really don't give you a vote. You're not allowed to vote on shit until the actual election. So you don't even have any real say if you're an independent, okay? So you have to end up picking a party. And the way it goes is, like right now, honestly, when I look at the situation, I think the United States is going to have a very hard time, regardless of who wins. The United States turned a lot of our friends, a lot of our allies into enemies. And it took years of building that up, and to have it destroyed in a few years makes me sad. And somebody said, well, we don't need them. The world economy, the world right now is so interconnected that we do need them. We need everybody. We need everybody on the same page, all working together, because if you couldn't tell, the coronavirus started in one place and has spread the whole world. That's how interconnected we are. And if you ignore that basic fact that we are that interconnected, that one thing that starts in one part of the world is now infecting pretty much the whole world, then you're doomed. Because whether it be coronavirus or zombie virus or whatever you want to call it, viruses exist and they spread if you don't contain them. It doesn't matter what name you call it. Bacteria, you know, germs, viruses, all these things have existed and will continue to exist. It's our response to them. It's when we find out, you know, that they're there, and whether or not we take the precautions that we need to take. And if we say that they're not real, even though people are dropping all around us, eventually we're going to drop. And, you know, I will take the precaution versus denying it. And some people say, well, it's not real. Well, it may not be real, but could you please put the damn mask on and stand back a little bit just in case? You know, let's just play it safe. If everyone had done that at the beginning, like they did in Asia, it should have been under control within 2 months. Because the virus only has germination from the time that it is there to the time it kind of dies out. It's like 2 or 3 weeks. That's it. 2 or 3 weeks is the lifespan. So if you stopped that from growing anymore for 2 or 3 weeks, we could have all been like not wearing masks and stuff again, but learning what we learn now, we might want to set up temperature probes, like to scan people as they walk through airports, with the little cameras and stuff. Because one of the symptoms, we don't know all the symptoms, but at least we can try to catch people who definitely have a temperature, you know. Um, so I suspect travel is going to be a lot more restrictive. Um, I hope people have learned from this that tomorrow isn't promised, that, life is indeed fragile. And even though you might think that you live in a country like the United States that has really good medication and everything, that something like coronavirus, maybe not coronavirus, maybe the Zumbaba virus or whatever you want to call it, future virus, can kill you within 2 weeks. You could be absolutely healthy, and 2 weeks later you could be dead. And that's one of the reasons for me wanting to move to Thailand. I'm still kind of young. I have some health issues. I want to live my life. I want to ride the elephant. I want to take my wife on an elephant ride. And if I get enough money, I want to take her to ride a camel, because we're going to travel the world. And some of you might be looking at me saying, how's he going to do this? Well, if you follow this channel, you'll see either I'm able to do it or I'm not. But it is a goal and not just a dream, because one of the things that people do in life is they have dreams, but they never really do anything about it. They never pursue it. They say, I'm going to do this one day. Then they get coronavirus and die 2 weeks later. Okay. What I'm telling you is, regardless of your age right now, although some of it you have to keep it within reason. If you waited too long and you're old now, you might not be able to do the mountain climbing and stuff that you wanted to do, that you always dreamed of doing. But maybe if you can afford it, you could get a ride up there and then ride up the mountain in a cart or something, and But what I'm saying is, you have to be reasonable about what you want to do, but you also have to do it. Like Nike says, the Nike commercial, just do it. So if you wanted to travel the world, don't plan on waiting, okay, unless you think that you're going to be alive. You're pretty sure that you're going to be alive in your 60s to travel the world, possibly. If you wait until real retirement like they want now, it's like 67 years old, and you think you're going to be healthy enough to climb a mountain or cross a stream or get up on an elephant, Me, I don't think I want to be getting on an elephant at 67 years old, okay? Even at 50-something, that's pushing it, because I now know that when I fall and I get hurt, it takes really long to heal. It's not like when I was 20 or 30 years old. It's like, but a minor scratch, Now it's like, shit, my teeth ain't coming back. This is permanent. So whatever happens now as you get older, it's permanent. So whatever you want to do in your life, knowing the potential of things like coronavirus, which had already existed, but it didn't get crazy like it did this particular one, knowing that your life can end at any moment, which you should have known already, okay? Really assess your life and see what you want to do and work towards it. Give yourself a real deadline. And if you don't make that deadline, it's okay. Like I'm planning on learning Thai, to read and write Thai, in about 3 months. If I don't make it, it's okay. So it takes me 4 months. So it takes me 5 months. But the fact is, if I never start to try to learn, I'm never going to get there. But if I give myself a deadline and schedule to try to work on and actually work towards it, then every day that I work towards it, I'm one step closer. Even if I get pushed back a little, I'm still moving forward, or trying to move forward, versus not even going anywhere at all. Elizabeth says she lost some family also. Jonathan wants to go to Thailand. Hey, Jonathan Weens, you're not related to Mark Weens, are you? If I make it to Thailand, come visit me, man. You can come and live in my treehouse or my little yurt or whatever I'm going to be building down there. SD says Spain is now the European COVID hotspot. Yeah, that's why they gave me notice when those 2 engineers came back from there. They just let me know because there's a chance I come into contact with them. But Florida is also the hottest spot. Maggie says, don't be political. It's a bad idea. Doji avoided applying for jobs. Kelly says, You rock, Denoy. Live out your dreams. I think everybody should live out their dreams. Yeah, Elizabeth J says she doesn't think it's going to go away, and reality is, it was always there. It was either coronavirus or bird flu or swine flu. It's just an issue of how we handled it. And we were able to stop the mad cow. We were able to stop the swine flu. Even stuff like, what's that bacteria? E. coli. You know how the food distribution chain has like E. coli now? It's occurring more often in foods. If we know about it and we don't do anything about it, it can become extremely bad, which is what's happening right now. Oh, Callie says Badia for life. That is going to be a potential problem. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to handle the Badia situation in Thailand. They may or may not have Badia in Thailand. Now, they do have spices and stuff, you know, but it's usually like stuff. Most spices in Thailand are made fresh, okay? The stuff that we get in America and, you know, in Western civilizations, Western countries and stuff, we get stuff in the grocery store, and it all comes nice and packaged in a bottle with labels and everything like that. In a lot of Asia, it's not like that. You know, it's like you go and they give you this plastic bag that they ziplock, or they heated it to lock the tip. And it's all made fresh, or you buy it fresh and you make it yourself. Now, I'm hoping to buy some curry and stuff, but I'm debating what to do with the Badia. I might have to hook up with an American or have my kid and say, hey, son, I'm going to give you, you know, this money, buy Badia and send it to me. I don't know if they'll even allow it to go through customs. But that is my big scare is, without Badia, what am I going to do? How am I going to cook? Okay, Elizabeth has said it all. She says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but he has given unto us a spirit of power, spirit of love, and of a sound mind. So you definitely shouldn't live in fear, but at the same time, I do think you should use that mind and try to prevent the spread of potentially deadly stuff. Callie says, I need to open a restaurant. I'm going to be in Thailand, and everybody there has a restaurant. You know, it's like all the street vendors and stuff. I don't really like cooking. I don't know if you guys know that. Some people watch this channel and actually think I like cooking. I don't like cooking. I hate cooking. Yeah, isn't that weird? I'm not a cook. I'm a terrible cook. I'm a terrible chef. But I can cook good enough. I can cook good enough that the food's okay, tastes halfway decent. It's cheap, it's affordable, it's easy to make. And I'm doing it by necessity. If I had my choice, I probably wouldn't cook too much. Okay? If I had my choice, I would probably have eat out all the time. And in Thailand, I might be able to do that because I could potentially have breakfast for like 60 cents every day. That's cheaper than I can cook here in America. But if I were to make my own food in Thailand, I could possibly cook it for 10 cents. You know, the same dish. So it depends on how tight money is in Thailand. But if I can afford it, more than likely, I might make breakfast. Because breakfast for me might be like rice, you know, white rice, and eggs. And fish sauce. That to me would be a simple breakfast. Or I might go downstairs to the market and get pang tung ko, if they still sell that somewhere. It's like a, it's kind of like a fried donut. And you dip it in coffee. Coffee in Thailand is kind of interesting because, you know, coffee in America is like kind of a grown-up drink, but in Asia, everybody drinks it, including little kids. I grew up on coffee. SD says, open an American restaurant in Thailand. Yeah, they actually have stuff like that. They even have like McDonald's, they have Starbucks, they have all those things, but they charge the American prices. That's why I was saying, you know, when I was watching Will Burson, which is one of the original Van Dwellers. I think he was around even before me. And he was in Chiang Mai. But he was saying, like, every once in a while he might go splurge on, like, coffee somewhere. You know, like at a Starbucks or something. But it's like $2. $2.60 or something for one cup of coffee. That to me is way too expensive. You know? I don't get coffee here in America. I don't spend $2 on a cup of coffee. If I spend $2, I just get instant coffee. I know it's not the best, but $2 will buy me a bottle or a container of instant coffee that I can have for a month. So $2 lasts me a month in coffee versus one drink. And in Thailand, I doubt I would do that unless I'm traveling. Like my wife and I, we're going to try to travel all over, from Asia all the way to possibly even Europe. Although it would be expensive going to Europe. But when we travel, I might be more likely to splurge on food. But even then, I would mostly want to try the local food, I don't want to go to Germany. Like, I saw Americans do this. When I lived in Germany, it was so funny. It's like, we were living in Germany, and that was the time when they ended up bringing McDonald's over to Germany. So they opened up one of the first McDonald's in Trier, the city Trier, which is like a 2,000-year-old Roman city in Germany. So they opened up a McDonald's, and I kid you not, when we went to Trier, it was packed with American visitors. I'm like, you traveled from the United States all the way to Europe, to Germany, to a 2,000-year-old Roman city, Trier, and you're eating at McDonald's. Give me a bratwurst. All right, I am going to go ahead and sign off. Hopefully this video gets enough thumbs up, and if it does, we'll go ahead and do the lessons. If not, I'm going to recommend that you just go on YouTube and you can search for how to learn Thai alphabet, Thai reading and writing, Thai phrases. The biggest thing you can learn, if you're just visiting, like if you're only going to be there for a week or two, you might not need to read or write Thai. You would only need to, know how to ask, like, how much something is, or where is the bus, where is the bathroom. Where is the bathroom is probably important. But some key phrases, how do you go somewhere? You might want to learn those words and stuff like that. But if you're planning on potentially moving to Thailand, it may be worth learning to read and write Thai. Or if you're just interested in learning a different language, which just basically improves your ability to communicate with people of another culture, then it may be worth following along. For me, I'm trying to learn it not because of enjoyment or even because it's my native language. I'm trying to learn it so I'm not illiterate. I don't want to be illiterate in Thailand. I want to be able to go there and read a sign and know what it says. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. And I hope that wherever you are making the most of your life and living every moment. And if you got nothing else from this video, I hope that if you have anything you want to do in your life, you actually make plans for it and start to try to make it a reality and not just a dream, because life is short, and if nothing else, coronavirus should be showing you that. So take care, everyone. God bless you all. Please stay safe. Bye-bye now.